Adenosine, the brain's sleep pressure and energy regulator. Every day, as you stay awake, something slowly builds in your brain. It makes your eyes feel heavy. It makes concentration harder, and it creates the powerful urge to sleep. This is not just tiredness. It is chemistry. That chemical is called adenosine. Adenosine is one of the most important and most misunderstood neurochemicals in the brain. Adenosine is not a classic neurotransmitter like dopamine or serotonin. It is a neuromodulator. This means it does not send fast point-to-point signals. Instead, it adjusts how active the brain is overall. Its main role is to signal energy use, fatigue, and the need for rest. In simple terms, adenosine tells the brain when it has been working too long. Adenosine is closely linked to cellular energy. Inside every cell, energy is stored as ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. When ATP is broken down to release energy, adenosine is produced as a byproduct. The more active your brain cells are, the more adenosine builds up. So, adenosine is a direct chemical signal of energy use. This makes adenosine very different from most neurotransmitters. It is not primarily about motivation or emotion. It is about metabolic cost. It tracks how hard the brain has been working. As adenosine levels rise, the brain becomes less alert and less excitable. Adenosine is found throughout the brain, but it is especially important in areas involved in arousal and wakefulness. These include regions that use dopamine, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. Adenosine interacts with these systems and gradually dampens their activity. This is how wakefulness slowly gives way to sleepiness. Adenosine works by binding to specific receptors. The two most important are called A1 and A2A receptors. When adenosine binds to these receptors, it reduces neural firing. Neurons become less likely to activate. The brain shifts into a lower energy state. This is why adenosine is often described as the brain's brake pedal. It does not suddenly shut the brain down. It applies steady pressure. The longer you stay awake, the stronger that pressure becomes. Eventually, sleep becomes unavoidable. Adenosine is central to sleep homeostasis. Sleep homeostasis is the balance between wakefulness and sleep. The longer you stay awake, the more sleep pressure builds. Adenosine is one of the main chemicals responsible for that pressure. When you sleep, adenosine levels fall. This resets the system. This explains an everyday experience. If you stay awake all night, you feel increasingly exhausted. If you then sleep deeply, you wake up refreshed. That feeling of recovery reflects reduced adenosine. Sleep clears adenosine from the brain. Adenosine also explains why naps work the way they do. A short nap can reduce adenosine slightly and improve alertness. A long nap can reduce it too much and make it harder to fall asleep later. This is why timing matters. One of the most famous interactions involving adenosine is with caffeine. Caffeine does not give you energy. It does not increase ATP. Instead, caffeine blocks adenosine receptors. It prevents adenosine from binding. The signal of fatigue is masked. This is why caffeine makes you feel alert. The brain does not realize how tired it actually is. Adenosine is still present. It is just being ignored. When caffeine wears off, adenosine can bind again. This can cause a sudden crash in alertness. This also explains caffeine tolerance. With regular caffeine use, the brain may produce more adenosine receptors. This makes caffeine less effective over time. It also explains caffeine withdrawal. When caffeine is removed, adenosine acts on more receptors than before. The result can be headache, fatigue, and brain fog. Beyond sleep, adenosine also affects cognition. High adenosine levels reduce attention. They slow reaction time. They impair working memory. This is why mental performance declines after prolonged wakefulness. The brain is being chemically told to rest. Adenosine also interacts with emotion. Sleep deprivation often increases irritability and emotional reactivity. This is partly because adenosine alters how emotional circuits function. When the brain is fatigued, emotion regulation becomes harder. This shows that adenosine affects more than just sleep. Adenosine also plays a protective role. By reducing neural activity, it protects neurons from overexertion. Too much sustained activity can be damaging. Adenosine helps prevent this. In this sense, adenosine is a safety mechanism. Clinically, adenosine is highly relevant. Sleep disorders often involve disrupted adenosine regulation. Chronic insomnia may involve reduced sensitivity to adenosine. Excessive sleepiness may involve increased adenosine signaling. Understanding a system helps explain why sleep problems are so persistent. Adenosine is also studied in relation to neurological conditions. It has protective effects during seizures and brain injury. By reducing excitability, adenosine can limit damage. This has led to research into adenosine-based treatments. Here are some everyday examples that show adenosine in action. First, feeling heavy-eyed late at night as adenosine builds. Second, improved alertness after sleep as adenosine levels drop. Third, caffeine blocking tiredness by interfering with adenosine receptors. Fourth, the mental fog after sleep deprivation caused by high adenosine. Fifth, the crash after caffeine wears off when adenosine signals return. There are also some interesting facts about adenosine. It is present in every cell of the body. It links energy use directly to brain state. It acts slowly and globally rather than rapidly and locally. And it is one of the clearest examples of how metabolism influences consciousness. Adenosine also highlights an important principle. Sleep is not just a habit. It is a biological necessity. The brain keeps track of wakefulness chemically. You cannot outthink adenosine. Eventually, it wins. From an evolutionary perspective, adenosine makes perfect sense. Brains that rested when energy was low were more efficient and survived longer. Adenosine ensures that rest happens whether we want it or not. So what is the big picture? Adenosine is not a pleasure chemical. It is not a motivation chemical. It is a fatigue chemical. It tells the brain when it has done enough. Without adenosine, the brain would burn itself out. With too much adenosine, alertness collapses. Health lies in balance. Understanding adenosine helps explain sleep pressure, caffeine, fatigue, attention, and recovery. It reminds us that feeling tired is not weakness. It is information. So the next time sleep feels irresistible, remember this. Your brain is not failing. It is listening to chemistry. And that chemistry is adenosine, quietly doing its job.
If you enjoyed our channel, please click subscribe.